human rights and Uyghurs. A Phase 1 trade deal reached in January has been fully realized, and the COVID-19 pandemic has only made relations worse.
The Chinese virus.
Scraping new lows to a point where there's talk of a new Cold War. U.S. diplomatic ranks in Asia have also been depleted. And right now, there's no ambassador to China, with Terry Branstad stepping down in September. A Biden administration is looking to restore American prominence in the world on things like tackling climate change. But the confrontation with China will probably continue. Biden's views on China have hardened since the Obama administration. He's called China's President Xi Jinping a thug.
This is a guy who doesn't have a democratic with a small d bone in his body.
He's talked of being more forceful on issues of human rights, including mass detentions of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. And he's also better positioned than President Trump to rally U.S. allies to help. On any of their so-called core issues, Beijing is unlikely to concede much. Back at Yaoji's, the owner, Yao Yan, says Joe Biden has an open invitation to come back. We can talk about our old days, she says, and hope that our friendship will last longer. Whether China sees President-elect Biden as an old friend or a new foe is still hard to tell. Some stability may return to U.S.-China relations, but warmth may be slow to follow.
The second highest office in the nation will soon belong to Kamala Harris, America's first female, first black, and first South Asian vice president-elect. A group of girls and their moms told NBC News correspondent Morgan Radford why this moment is so special for them.
History in the making.
This is a country of possibilities.
Possibilities for all the little girls watching the new vice president-elect.
Go, Kamala, go, Kamala.
And seeing a bit of her in themselves.
All right, so ladies, who is this?
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris.
So what did you all think when you saw her take the stage?
I feel happy because we had our first black woman vice president.
I was like, oh, well, if she can do it, then I can do it. She really showed that women can be just as powerful as men.
For their moms, a sign of hope.
She will grow up in a world where it's not abnormal for a woman to be in power. It's someone who she can identify with and looks like her.
She said, "We won, Mommy," and that was a powerful moment for me, for her, to literally look in a mirror and say that we won.
What do you hope that your daughter takes away from this moment?
Everyone has power to do whatever they want to do.
When you all look at your daughters, you've probably always seen a CEO or a president or a vice president. Do you think this moment, makes it easier for others to see that too?
I think it will help our daughters assert themselves or to even enter those spaces with confidence. I should be here. I'm qualified.
I belong here.
Yeah, I belong here.
Making it possible to see what America can be.
What do you want to be, Naomi, when you grow up?
A president.
You're going to be a president? Oh, give me a high five. I'd vote for you.
Morgan Radford, NBC News, Charlotte.
Hey everyone, I'm Allison Mars. You're watching NBC News Now. Coronavirus cases are spiking across the country, but this pandemic is particularly dangerous in the Midwest right now. Wisconsin is reporting more new cases, deaths, and hospitalizations than ever before. The governor there issuing a new executive order telling people to stay home in a rare primetime address.
Wisconsin, this is serious. The crisis is urgent. We must get back to the basics of fighting this virus, just like we did last spring, and it starts at home. It's not safe to go out. It's not safe to have others over. It's just not safe. And it might not be safe for a while yet. So please, please cancel the happy hours, the dinner parties, the sleepovers, the play dates at your home. And if a friend or family member invites you over, offer to hang out virtually instead.
NBC News correspondent Cal Perry is in Miller Park in Milwaukee. It is one of the busiest coronavirus testing sites in the entire Midwest. Cal, the governor there saying it took 7.5 months to get 100,000 cases, but just 36 days to double that. I mean, let's talk about that. That's crazy. How did Wisconsin get to that point, and what is behind that jump?
Community spread. I mean, that's what's behind the jump. Some people are going to tell you it's weather. It was 65 degrees here yesterday. It's 35 degrees today. Winter arrived today, so it wasn't weather. It was community spread. So many people in the community have it. Been watching these cars behind me all day and thinking about a positivity rate in this state of 30%. New York City has a positivity rate of 2%. So 1 out of every 3 people who come to this testing center are testing positive. With those numbers, as you heard from the governor, it's about staying out of crowds. It's about staying out of restaurants. It's about trying to do whatever you can to stay safe, not to mention, of course, the extra added pressure that this puts on the healthcare system just in trying to treat everyday patients, now having to put that aside because there are just so many coronavirus patients flowing into these hospitals, Allison.
Cal, the governor's new executive order sounds a bit more like recommendations than official restrictions. Tell us more about it. What's he saying?
So it's only recommendations because he cannot tell people to do this. He lost in March to the Supreme Court. The Republican legislature took him to court on his stay-at-home order, and the Supreme Court reversed his order. We're talking about a Democratic governor in a Republican state. I know we've told this story before, but it vastly limits what the governor can do. Knowing that he couldn't put out an official stay-at-home order that people would have to follow by law, he put out these recommendations. But as you played in that clip, he was emphatic about it, trying to tell people that it is a scary time. I think there's a bit of a disconnect between sort of folks, you know, knowing that the coronavirus is out there, but then when you tell people, look, Wisconsin is at 85% capacity on hospitals. They are out of room. There are less than 120 beds, ICU beds available in the state. When you lay it out like that, and I'm sure that this was the governor's hope in laying it out like that, you can get people to just try to stay at home over Thanksgiving.
Cal, you spoke with the preparedness coordinator at that testing site. How are they keeping up with the rising demand there? They must feel overwhelmed.
Totally. They're doing amazing work here. We've been here off and on for the past sort of 2 weeks. One of the things that they wanted us to get out there, one of the words that they wanted us to spread was it matters very much when you get tested. Take a listen.
Really exceptionally important for people to understand ideal timing of testing after a close contact. So if you came into contact with somebody who is known to have COVID-19, 3 to 5 days should be your window of timing for testing. One of our biggest concerns is that people are showing up the day after or 2 days after contact with someone. It's too early to test. So you may get a false negative, and the implications of that are even more significant, where you have a false sense of security if you're asymptomatic that you were negative when you in fact may be positive, and you could then contribute to community spread.
So just to hammer that point home, if you think you've been exposed, wait 3 to 5 days, then get tested. The other thing that we've been talking about a lot here with healthcare workers is if you think you've been exposed, if you have symptoms, you have to self-isolate 10 to 14 days. I know that's really hard. I know what's going on in the economy. I think everybody understands how difficult it is. But it's that level of social responsibility when you have an out-of-control pandemic that health officials are really trying to impress upon people. I can't say it enough. 30% positivity rate, Allison, in the state of Wisconsin is a pandemic that is truly out of control.
Look, Cal, on every level, right? It's a difficult thing to do. A friend says you want to get together, and it's so hard to, your first reaction is to say yes, but you know you have to say no because it is just a bad idea. They're tough, small, everyday decisions that have huge ramifications. I mean, look at the cars behind you. You gotta just listen to the medical advice, and as you're doing, wear the mask.
That's it. That's absolutely right. You got to wear your mask, too. We know recent CDC studies just telling NBC News. We heard this from Dr. Fauci. I think it was yesterday. Not only protects other people, but protects yourself. Think about it this way, too, in the state of Wisconsin. And this is the coming conversation we're going to have about rights in America. We just had it during this election. A mask-wide mandate is being challenged in the Supreme Court here in Wisconsin.